Welcome to Innovation Fridays. This must-see virtual event series has everything you need to take your business to the next level. With key insights from some of the Caribbean's top entrepreneurs and business leaders and exciting interactive workshops to get you in the know. Here to kick things off with our first keynote in the series is Frank Schilling. Mr. Schilling is a technology entrepreneur, angel investor, and founder of Uni-Registry Domain Registrar. He is here to tell you how he pivoted to success in the digital age. You won't want to miss those words of wisdom. Then stick around for our hands-on customer experience workshop, led by Flow Business brand ambassador and online business coach, Keron Rose. We'll wrap things up with Tech Beach in conversation with Shyam Ebanks, proprietor of Let's Eat and NCI in the Cayman Islands, where you'll learn entrepreneurial best practices that you can put to use in your business as you navigate the digital age. And don't forget, the Innovation Pitch Challenge closes June 19th. Submit your 2-minute video business pitch by then to be in with a chance to win your share of $15,000 USD in cash and prizes. And now, let's welcome your host, Alyssa Christian, Marketing Manager for Flow Cayman.
What an introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to the first Innovation Small Business Friday series hosted right here in Cayman. This event series is brought to you by Flow Business and BTC Business in collaboration with Tech Beach Retreat. We have an action-packed agenda for you today. First, we'll hear from our keynote speaker, Frank Schilling, followed by a Q&A segment. We'll then have a digital workshop from our Flow Business brand ambassador, Keron Rose, right out of Jamaica. We will then hear from Cayman's power couple entrepreneurs, Shyam and Tamara Ebanks. And then we will have closing remarks from Jeff Tibbetts, the sales manager for Cayman Small Business. You don't want to miss a single second of today's event. But before we kick off, I need to remind you about all the small business owners, about the Innovation Pitch Challenge. Not only are we providing you with inspiring keynote speakers and expert-led workshops today to take your business to the next level, we're also giving you a chance to win big. The Innovation Pitch Competition will allow 3 worthy businesses the chance to win their share of $15,000 US in cash and prizes. That includes a top grand prize cash of $5,000, a year's free of business internet and smart solutions to take your business online, an hour session with a digital business coach, and your own TV ad produced and aired on TV for free. That sounds amazing, and I think you should all be entering this pitch competition. I'm so pleased to introduce to you our first keynote speaker, Frank Schilling. Let's learn more about Frank before he takes the stage.
Our keynote speaker today is Frank Schilling, a millionaire technology entrepreneur, angel investor, and pioneer in the domain name industry. Born in Germany, he grew up in Canada and moved to the Cayman Islands in 2003. He founded Name Administration Incorporated, now one of the world's most profitable domain name holding and purchasing companies, and the Uni-Registry Corporation, which he sold to GoDaddy in 2020. Frank leveraged his keen business instincts to pivot to success, and he's here today to help you learn how to do the same with your business. Let's welcome Frank Schilling.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me to Flow Business and BTC Business. It's very flattering to be here and share my story, I guess. Beyond sharing my story, I think it's more a story of business in the islands, meaning it's one thing to start a business, in a city like Miami or to start in New York or somewhere else. But it's another thing to grow, nurture, and cultivate a business in the islands, whether it's the Bahamas or whether it's Jamaica or whether it's Cayman. My own journey sort of began in Canada. I started as a bit of a late bloomer, and I think maybe that's what I'll do is I'll recount some of my story and then maybe some of the little life's lessons that I picked up and learned along the way. Maybe that'll help you in your own journey. So, I think the first lesson came late. As I said, it was a late bloomer. What does that mean? It means I started late. I didn't have great success very young. I started sort of in my late 20s, early 30s, started making sort of money on the internet. And the first lesson that I noticed was when you're starting any business, whether it's small or, most businesses start small unless you're taking outside capital and you're doing something really large out of the gate. You need to find that little jig that works, that little system where you can get the smell of cash flow, meaning, you sort of start running your business and you wake up one morning and you sell something for $20, and then the next day you sell it for something for $30, $100, $200, and so on, so that you can see a progression and that wow, that was easy. I can do more and I can grow faster. And you have to sort of, as an entrepreneur, it's almost, you could just get a feel for the cash flow of whatever undertaking you're doing. So whether it's a small mom and pop home business, or whether it's a something that you're backing with outside capital, either way, you need to kind of feel that flow of cash flow, right? Little money coming in that you get the sense that it's growing. In my own case, that started for me on a very small scale in Canada, and I'm not shy to share that back in those early days, I thought, wow, this is not a great spot to scale from in Canada. I was working from my home. So I went and I talked to an attorney friend of mine, an accountant. He said, a lot of people are running internet businesses, but nobody's really considered doing it from the Caribbean. Have you thought about the Cayman Islands? A lot of people really enjoy it down there. I took one visit, and I couldn't believe how good life was in the Cayman Islands. This is 21 years ago. I couldn't believe just how easy and sweet life was. And so I was like, this is just too good. If I could scale a business from here, it'd be amazing. So I within almost like 2 months, I'd made the decision. Didn't have children at the time, and I'd made the decision. Let's do this. Let's try to make this move. So I moved to Cayman. I started. I'll never forget arriving in Cayman. Just to put this in context, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a home paid for. I had a mortgage. I had my business, but I had literally no money in the bank. Just to put that in context, I didn't arrive, rich on a private jet. So, and I remember renting the car and leaving a cash deposit for my rental. So anyway, I started working from home and just continuing that same little, what I characterize as a jig, a little apparatus that started making money and cash flow. And I've heard it said, and I think this is true, that when you live in the Cayman Islands or Jamaica or the Bahamas, it is probably the easiest place in the world to start a small business and get it making, $100,000 or $200,000 a year in cash flow, something small. Cash flow, not profits, cash flow. But it's probably the hardest place in the world to scale that $200,000 business into a $200 million business, because there's just not enough people in those places to grow into something very, very large. There's always this sort of ceiling. If you look at the great business people in the islands, they're all either providing the necessities of life, the concrete or the food or fuel, things that everybody on the island needs, or they're small entrepreneurs who run many small businesses and combine those small businesses into something much larger. In my own journey, so I started in my sort of name and advertising business, growing from something very small into something bigger. When I arrived, I was maybe generating 10, 20,000 a month. By the time within a year, I was generating 120,000 a month, then 200,000 a month, then 350,000 a month. And I clearly remember clearing $500,000 a month, and then $1 million a month, and then 1.8 million a month was my high watermark on that business. And I remember holding that, sustaining that for quite some time in 2004 and 5. So it was a time of incredible growth to go from something very small to something very large and do it remotely on an island. I was able to do that in a way. Living in the islands is actually quite a benefit to an internet entrepreneur, because the commutes are short. You don't have far to go to get your dry cleaning and laundry and get dinner, and everything is very close at hand. It's not like crossing town in New York City where it might take you half an hour to get across town. So you can get a lot done in spite of the fact that people would say, "Oh, you're on Cayman time or island time." I found that the people that work in banks in telecoms, everywhere. People generally, there's not much to do in the islands if you're not a tourist other than work and be with family. So, it's a real. I found people to be really good in the islands to cooperate with, to work with, to help me get the things I needed to grow my business. Right. So I found that it was sort of counterintuitive. You'd think that running a business from the islands is harder. It was actually easier at that point, growing from nothing to something. As I grew my business, and this will happen in any business changed. It changed. So what do I mean by that? When I came to the islands, most of the revenue that I was generating came more from marketing. People would type a domain name and visit the domain name, and I would sell that advertising traffic onto Google or to Yahoo on a paid partnership basis, right? But as the internet evolved and as there became more, as people started to spend more time on blogs and then on social media later, there was more traffic on the internet to sell from, so the price of traffic came down, and so I wasn't making as much revenue from my domain portfolio and advertising as I was, in the high watermark days of 04 and 05. So what I did was, but I'd assembled a very large portfolio of names, but I looked at what I'd had. I said, wow, a lot of people are inquiring to buy these names every day. And so what I did was I created, between the years of 05 and 11, I created a brokerage, meaning, almost like a jewelry store. If you have people coming in all day long and saying, how much is this ring? How much is that necklace? I started to boutique sell those names to people who would inquire. I created a CRM, a piece of management software that allows you to manage leads that come in, right? And then we would follow up with prospective buyers and have a team of brokers who could earn a good living selling names on a commission basis, a commission and a small salary. But because the velocity of sales was so high, the brokers could cleave a nice life for themselves. In any event, during those years, that was a really interesting pivot, and it happened like this because in the early days, in the advertising times, I didn't need a big team locally on the island. All of a sudden, I found myself in need of many people, right? And many people means work permits and work permits locally in the Cayman Islands, and I'm sure in the Bahamas and potentially in Jamaica or Bermuda, other islands. They come with a fee, but often those fees don't translate or allow a business to sustain. So one of the best things I did was I was able to meet with government and explain my problem that this doesn't scale. I need to create a new permitting class of individual that aligns with my business so that I can scale. And again, I was fortunate that I based my business in the Cayman Islands, where I had a receptive government that was well run, well managed, and they were open to my suggestion of that does make sense. Maybe give Frank enough rope to see where he can go with this, and they did. And what I was able to do was scale that business and bring people down and create a nucleus in the economy, to support a staff of 70 people at its apex. And we grew into that. We started in a very small office in a plaza on the sort of the third floor stoop, and then we moved down into the lower ground floor into the back corner. That was maybe a little less desirable real estate, but we remodeled it and made an old restaurant kind of work for us, and we were able to scale a lot of people in. So I think the lesson there is it's really important to share openly with everybody in your community what you're doing. It'll help you achieve your goals when you are in business. It's counterintuitive. It often seems like it's in your best interest to be secretive and don't tell anybody I'm going here or what I'm doing over here, that I'm about to do this. I always in my career embrace the inverse. I tell everybody everything I'm doing like a completely open book. And what that does is it'll attract like-minded people to you, and it'll automatically identify those who are against you and let you manage, and at least how to manage those two counter forces. You have the people who are trying to help you, and then you have people who are jealous or don't like what you're doing, or but it outs them all at once, and it allows you to deal with it without having to worry about secrets and what's going on, things you can't control. It allows you to control your destiny a little better. So what I would encourage anyone operating a business from Cayman or any of the islands is channel well what you're doing and explain everything to everyone. Over-explain. I would meet with government and I would go into the complete backstory about things that maybe would seem irrelevant. But those things really helped me because it allows the people that are potentially there who can help you to sort of look into your soul and understand what you're really about and what you're trying to achieve. So that was something very important for me. And then I ran that business locally in Cayman, for several years. It ran just like a company would in Silicon Valley. We would have a lot. It was a little more expensive to operate from the islands in the sense that people would come down for business and we'd have to put them up in a hotel, but there aren't really budget hotels in the high season, so you're paying full rates. Food is more expensive. We ran in that office. We ran it as a so-called a googly office, meaning we provided breakfast, lunch, and a snack in the afternoon for our staff out of the commercial kitchen that remained from the restaurant. So we ran a fully functioning 180 cover a day restaurant that nobody but our team ever ate at. And another little lesson we picked up in that, it was expensive. It cost us about $1 million a year in food and food service to keep that running. Chef, food loss, wastage, you're going to have theft, things that just disappear, you can't control. But in the mix, it cost us about $1 million a year. But the lesson I learned was we got about $1.1 million in value out of that. It allowed us to grow faster. A lot of software developers, are quirky and they're not taking good care of themselves. They're not eating well. We were able to provide good food. We were able to allow them to focus on their work. And so the office became a bit of a clubhouse. This piece of advice may not work for everyone because it was unique to our business. We had 70 staff members, in front of computers. We just wanted to provide food service so that we wouldn't lose everybody at lunch for if you have an hour at lunch, it could be like an hour and a half. And so that productivity loss was something that, would cost us. Time is the greatest cost. So if I said to you, Frank, even if somebody would have said to me, Frank, your food cost is $1 million, but you're only going to get $800,000 worth of gain, I still would have done it because the $200,000 loss is the amount of time I make up in those guys not, being away from the office and what have you. The productivity gains were so significant that there's real value in that. So I think the lesson for anybody, maybe in your own way, in your own business, you can infer from that is, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Don't think about cutting costs to the bone all the time. Just, you don't want to live lavishly if you can't afford it, but don't be so frugal that it harms your business prospects, because time is your enemy when you're growing a business. You need to move as fast as you can. We're all getting older. You need to go as quickly as you can. I'll recount a quick side story. When I was building a home in California, when I started to make some money, and there were 3 builders on the job. They were brothers, a younger one, a middle-aged one, and one who was a little older, closer to retirement. But they all worked together on the home. And when I saw my engineers in the office, I thought, these guys are exactly like those builders in California. You've got the young guy, you've got a little middle-aged guy, you've got an older guy who's now leaving and he's going back to Europe. And these guys work as a team and they create magic when they work together. That's not going to last forever. None of us are going to live forever. People's needs change, people's wants change. And so one day that team breaks up and you lose that magic that you were creating. So it's very important to never take the moment for granted. Move with dispatch when you're growing something. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish where it relates to trying to grow quickly. And that's what I learned with my food service situation there. So thinking forward, let me play forward a little bit. When we'd run the business for several years, we're doing well on the cash flow front. But as I said, everything turns, right? I'd been running the business for 21 years. I travel 3 times a year to an industry trade show where everybody would gather in different parts of the world. It's the nature of naming that there's one sort of large industry trade show that travels around the world that's run by our regulator. And so I would go to these industry events, and I would from time to time have like people approach me and say, we would be open and look at acquiring your portfolio of names or your business if you ever wanted to sell. And so I recall I was in Montreal, and one of these GoDaddy approached me and made that statement just again. And I was like, well, let's follow that breadcrumb trail. Let's see where that goes. Let's see what that looks like. And it was an interesting thing at that point. Again, I was traveling a lot back and forth between different industry events. I was traveling to go see GoDaddy at their head office, or their office in Cedar Rapids, I should say. And in that process, I learned a little bit about the company, and they learned a little bit about mine. And so we started down the process of what an acquisition might look like. And in that, the biggest takeaway I can share with you from that time was, I clearly recall whether it was Remembrance Day, a national holiday, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's Eve. I mean, every day where it seemed like there should be a holiday, we were working on contracts, paperwork, trying to work through that process. And so, when we announced that deal, the first of what were multiple deals actually, I'd realized that I'd basically worked the entire time from the first moment that we contemplated the conversation. So you really got to love your work. You've really got to love what you're doing to be able to go through the process to build something and then to let it go. You've got to find that right moment to let go so that it doesn't hurt you on the way out. I've heard it said that when, and I think this is true, that one of the most dangerous times for any person in life is when they build a business and they've sold it, because they lose their sort of sense of purpose and they lose their sense of what drove them every day. And I can tell you that's very much true. It's a strange feeling. You all of a sudden you have money in the bank, but you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know, because you've been working so long in your routine, that routine is broken. That can be very hard on you, emotionally, on your physical health. So I think it's very important to try to, as a business owner, try to stay fit, get exercise. I go in the morning at 6 a.m., try to go to the gym. No judgment. You don't have to kill yourself in a workout session, but it's important to get some exercise, just to clear your mind and to try to stay healthy so that you can function for your team, because your team is ultimately relying on you and believing in you. As you rely on and believe in them. It really is a team effort to build a business. I'm trying to think of a few other takeaways that I can share with you from that time, but maybe it'll be better to open things up if there's any Q&A, or allow more time for some of the other speakers this morning.
Thank you again. It was so inspiring. So many takeaways, like one of my favorites is, we hear it all the time, Rome was built in a day, right? And you really spoke about that, baby steps, growing that, seeing a little bit of profit grow month after month, year after year. So, you can't chew the whole elephant. You got to take bite-sized pieces. So that's great. You touched on teamwork and mental health and physical health. All those things contribute to success and success in your business. We do have some questions. So if you're ready, we can jump right in.
Fire away. We'll see what comes of it.
All right. So the first question is, hi, Frank. Did you have personal debt while starting? And did you have any outside capital in the early days?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So no is the answer. So and this goes back to what we call bootstrapping a business. What that means is you're taking cash that comes in and then you're reinvesting it back into the business. So, I had debt in the sense that I had a mortgage on my home. I had debt in the sense that I had credit cards that had to be paid every month. But I didn't have any outside capital or like seed capital. And it's often, in my experience, it's better to start a business from absolute nothing and then bootstrap it into something than it is to take on outside capital. Because outside capital, if you don't know where you're going, like there's some things that require outside capital. If you need to buy plant and equipment, if there are things that are just out of reach, you need real estate. I mean, you're going to need outside capital for those things, just to secure them, to allow you to have your base to build your world on top of, right? But when you're growing an actual cash flow business, it should just cash flow. You should start with $1 and make $2. Don't think about trying to take out outside capital to make more, because if your model doesn't work, you're just going to lose your investors' money and have a bigger collapse, so to speak. So far better to take outside capital after you know that the model works and you're cash flowing. And often at that point, you don't need capital. You can do it yourself. If you're trying to go national as a brand and you have a model that works, great. The model works. I know it works in this market. I've tested it in that market. And now I want to open in 26 other markets. Great. But starting from zero and you don't have a good cash flow mechanism and you want to take outside capital to try to get to it, all the time I have people come to me, can I have, would you invest $1 million into this so that I could start from absolute zero into something? Too often it's like there's no model, there's no little jig that's making money. So you're just it could fail even more spectacularly. So I would encourage everybody, business owners, to invest in a cash flow mechanism, something small. Start with something small, and I'd encourage investors, like outside investors who are chasing a return, to kind of look at the cash flow or look at the growth of the potential of cash flow. Media companies are notorious for losing money for years, but they grow user base, they grow eyeballs, so there's a potential at any given time to ring fence your losses and turn it into cash flow by cutting costs or what have you. Anyway, long answer, but I didn't have any help. And I wouldn't encourage anybody else to get any either. I'd start small.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, second question. Hi, Frank. What sort of assistance did the government give you aside from hearing you out on your proposal?
Yeah, so they offered a program so government is well intended. I live in the Cayman Islands, and so I'm going to give an example. In our country, if you imagine when I came 21 years ago, there are no technology, right? So when there are telephone companies and there are some technology businesses, but they're not traditional like upstart Silicon Valley start from zero technology businesses. So the work permitting system is designed for the business that they know that it exists. Meaning, if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, the government knows those accountants and lawyers are in the Cayman Islands to serve multinationals. And so they levy a significant work permit fee, a percentage of the annual income that they estimate, as a cost on those multinational companies for doing business tax-free in the Cayman Islands. And that's a symbiotic relationship. It works. But it doesn't work for like an upstart in technology that's making no money and wants to start from zero. So we needed a system that would allow us on a short-term basis to bring in lower cost permits, right? Just like with a Cayman Enterprise City would have those same benefits, but not so much attached to Cayman Enterprise City or like to an area or a geographic locale, attached to our locale wherever we want to operate from, because there's frankly just not enough real estate inside that sort of enterprise, special enterprise zone apparatus, and the real estate costs are frankly too high. For an upstart, we can't, because there the play to get a reduced permit is you have to lease in their premises at a higher rate than you could find maybe somewhere else if you're starting from nothing. So what the government did was they saw this and they said, you know what, you're right, that is a problem. Let's give you the ability on a short-term basis to grow low-cost permits and see where this goes. So you need to find those people, and these people exist in every government, in good countries. You need to find those people where you can story tell your ambition and have them help you in your journey. for the better, for the betterment of everybody. When we're successful and we have 70 staff, that's great for the country. Those people are consumers. They bring their own families down at Christmas. They travel. It's all a virtuous cycle for the country. So the government helped me by listening to my problem, and then offering me an apparatus to allow me to grow outside of a traditional framework. But as an entrepreneur, this is what I was saying. It behooves you to be a good communicator, not to be secretive, so secretive that it becomes weird. You need to kind of explain your vision and find those people that can help you in your execute your vision to give you, the level playing field, so that you can grow. I mean, I would have grown my business in any event. I would have had to relocate to Silicon Valley. Maybe I would have had an even better outcome because I could have grown even faster, right? But the key is, I loved living in Cayman. I still do, and I love my country, my adopted country. My children are born there. I want to be a part of the community, and I want to do something good, where I live. And so, but I was able to find those like-minded people in government who helped me. So yeah. I hope that answered.
We're glad you stayed here, Frank. We're glad you're part of us. Okay, next. So the next question is, how did you attract the likes of GoDaddy to want to invest? Can you talk about that experience? What were the pros and cons of this?
Yeah. So when you grow business, any business, if you're doing a good job, you start to get on people's radar. Competitors see what you're doing. They try to emulate you. We innovated a lot of different things in our business. We created a domain name registrar. So now we're competing directly with GoDaddy in the sense that we offer a mechanism to create all names. Registrars are very complicated pieces of software because they touch other pieces of software. They interbind with other registries. And the longer you work at them, and the more engineering work you put in, and the more work you put into the interfaces, they almost take on a life of their own. They become an important utility on the internet. And as we worked and we put our heads down and we innovated and we intertwined with other pieces of software out there, other registries, and GoDaddy realized, wow, this is very difficult to copy. If we can't beat them, join them, kind of thing. GoDaddy, to be fair, is an enormous company, very, very successful. They've grown an incredible marketing machine in America, largely on the back of their Super Bowl commercials in the early days and just early growth. What we offered was we were able to, our engineering in many respects was better than theirs. A lot of our software was better. Our engineering team was very strong. And so GoDaddy saw what we were doing. They saw our interfaces and our user interfaces, the way that the website feels. Maybe this is a good spot to share one more lesson that I'd learned. When you're creating an internet business, any business on the internet, all you have is what you see on this screen here that we're all looking at, right? So when you're looking at that, every pixel that's out of place, furls a brow with your customer. Every time a button doesn't work, every time a color is off, if it doesn't work in one browser but it works in another browser. These are all, the saying that we adopted internally was, every time you make your customers think, you chip away at their good faith. And it's something that we live by, that we don't want to chip away at that holds in every business. If you make your customers think, what's this guy up to? You're chipping away at your customers' good faith in you. And so what we learned was, don't do that. Make sure everything is pixel perfect. Make sure everything works right the first time. Make sure everything functions well. And GoDaddy wasn't able to do that across everything because they're a very big organization. And they saw some of what we were doing as enviable. And ultimately they envied enough that they wanted to buy it. And that's sort of how we got there. They saw synergies that they could take the pieces that we had acquired and built and plug them into their apparatus and get more of a benefit than the cost that they would pay us to buy it, is really the short answer.
And when you sold to GoDaddy, Frank, did you get any backlash from anybody?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have. So let's put this in context. We did that deal, and it was literally by coincidence right at the beginning of COVID. right? So think about that. Nobody's looking at the sale of a small business. It made it into the local newspaper where we live, and maybe it was, it was talk in our industry, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like a shot heard around the world. COVID was happening, and everybody was talking about that, about lockdowns and about all of that. So we did get some backlash a little bit. You're always going to have, it's often the people that are closest to you that you don't know. They have a drink at night, and they go online and they post a comment in an anonymous name, and let their dark side out and try to their jealousies and whatever come laid bare, and they're not but won't sign their name to it. That's human nature. You have to accept you're going to get so there's a lot of really good people out there, and there are a lot of people who have their own struggles, and we all have those. And so you have people who will vent and say, oh, we didn't get that much bad backlash though. I mean, probably the worst backlash we got was from our own customers, some of whom didn't want to be at GoDaddy, and they liked the idea of it being an independent registrar run by us, and would like to keep it growing that way forever. That just wasn't a fit for us. It was the business had cycled. We were having trouble growing further. I could just see it being. It felt like the right time to let go, and you have to know when that is. I mean, every entrepreneur knows that, right? Has their own time.
Yeah. And there's so many different, options and business ventures you could have dove into. So how did you know that you were ready and right for this specific business in this industry?
A great question. I didn't. Sometimes the right business finds you. You don't find it. I was doing one thing in naming, and it just felt good, to me. And then it evolved into another. I didn't think at the beginning of my business I'm going to run a registrar. I did imagine in my mind's eye having an office, having 70, 80 staff around me. Like it's not a goal, but if I would close my eyes and envision where this was going, I could kind of visualize having staff, offices. I didn't know what we were doing in my mind's eye, but I knew that we would grow into something much larger. And that's sort of what happened. We turned it into very much what I envisioned. I'm surprised we sold it for, as much as we did. We did several transactions with GoDaddy. We sold it in pieces. We sold the name administration piece. We sold the registry registrar piece. We sold and then as we started to sell those pieces, we thought initially, okay, well, we'll pivot and focus on one of our other business units. And we realized, we at one point, wow, we've just gone too far because we'll have to rehire a lot of staff. So it just became more, and then other suitors would come out of the woodwork and say, well, why don't you sell me this piece of your business? And so it gradually became, through osmosis, like we wound up selling many of the different pieces that I didn't think we'd ultimately sell. We created a registrar for brands. So if you think about being a brand like a Pepsi or Chanel or Flow, somebody big, the domain names are not often managed like you would manage your own domain name, with your credit card. You usually go through a brand management company or special registrar that, if you think about the domain name google.com, if that name goes dark because somebody removes the name servers or tinkers with it, I mean, it's a catastrophic breakdown on the internet. Those types of things happen. So those names are handled specially by special registrars with like triple authentication security to get access. Multiple people have to access and turn keys at the same time to get access to make changes to the domain name so that the internet doesn't break, because all the, email can go down. You can imagine if your domain name is managed by Gmail and you lose control of your Gmail. I mean, it's like you have to call the registry to reset name servers. It's a real catastrophe. So anyway, long story short, we created one of those registrars using some of our infrastructure, and we wound up selling that business unit. And we didn't think we'd ultimately sell that. We thought we'd keep it. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep there, but the right business finds you. You don't go looking for it necessarily sometimes.
Right. So going.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, No, go.
Oh,
Go
to
ahead,
the
Frank. Go
point about
ahead.
the right business, I'm gonna carry on to that point. So I've sold my business, right? And I'm now, underemployed, let's say, right? Um, because I still have something to offer. I'm not going to retire. An entrepreneur doesn't retire, and I'm too young to retire anyway. So, what do I do? I've always wanted to own a restaurant. I think I can do a better job running a restaurant. So I'm building a big Greek restaurant on 7 Mile Beach, on the corridor in the Grove. And why am I doing that? Because I'm passionate about food. I eat out every day. You know, I love having there's a team effort, right, that goes into running a restaurant. I'm 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 curious about the all the little pieces that go into making it great, and I like the idea that it becomes part. I'm social, so I like the idea that it becomes a center in the community. I'm trying to improve my country by building an inland safe harbor in Cayman Brac. If you go to the sister islands, there's no safe harbor really at all for boats, fishing boats, nothing. So how I see that as a huge problem. I was able to acquire some land using the money from the sale of my business, and I'm able to stitch it together and come up with a plan that I think is viable. I'll present that to government later this month. Did I wake up, 2 years ago and say I'm going, or 3 years ago that I'm going to do these things? No, I was curious about the restaurant, but I never thought I'd run a large restaurant. But the right business found me. It's something that in the confluence of my journey, it came to me. It's not something that I necessarily just sort of sought out. Did I want to build a port or a safe harbor? No, but I see a glaring problem. The land presented itself. It's something I can make a difference in my time that I think is positive for my country, right? And I want to do something good. And that's I think maybe probably the biggest lesson as an entrepreneur. You should, and I think most true entrepreneurs think this way, is I think they're always trying to do a good job and leave things better. I haven't met many entrepreneurs who are like corporate raiders who just try to buy things to take it apart to make money. Usually it's a little bit more of a nurturing dynamic to be an entrepreneur and a business builder than to be a stock trader or what's the word? Somebody who's something that's more mercantilist. It's only about the money. It's often about the passion of trying to do good in business and do good in your time.
No, I love that. I love that you're still, pursuing other opportunities. You're creating opportunities. I love that you're investing back in Cayman again. We're really excited. I'll speak on behalf of the entire Flow team to come to your restaurant when it opens. So you'll have to keep us.
November.
Oh, perfect.
November.
Great. So
Yeah.
going back to the beginning now, when it was just you or you just had a few employees, right? You're really getting things started. How did you keep your motivation? How did you keep going and kind of work through those early days?
That's easy. If the old saying again, grandma's sage advice comes in here, which is, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, and that's true. If you wake up in the morning, with a dream and sort of a purpose at the same time, and you'll never feel like it's work. I'll be honest with you. There were nights where I'll never forget it. Where I was in the name business, where you have 5 little voices inside you. Well, one of them would say, isn't it time to like watch TV and do something now? But the other 4 would be like, no, we love this. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like work. It was very easy to stay motivated, because none of it felt like work.
And we feel your passion. We see your passion. We know you love doing what you were doing with Uni Registry. So how did you know it was the right time to sell? How did you get really comfortable
Yeah.
with that idea and that decision?
I could see that in every business you go through a cycle where you're growing a lot, and then that growth flatlines or stabilizes, and you have to kind of like recalibrate. And what happened was, sometimes you have to follow the signals from the universe. It was a couple of people had said, I'd be interested in buying your business, and one of them come to me at a time when I was like, you're going through this flatline area where you're or you're slowing down in your growth and you're having to recalibrate, all of a sudden somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, I'd really like to buy your business. I think we could take it further and faster than you could. And the penny drops, and you just listen for that signal. You have to be open to it at that time. And I was. And so you feel that signal that, now is the time to let go, to turn the page and do something new. I'd been working in the business. It was almost 20 years in my business. That's kind of a good moment to take stock and say, wow, that's a whole career, 20 years and one job. And to put it in context, my business was every single day, weekends, evenings. I would go on vacation and still work 3 hours a night, at Christmas, New Year's, there was never a day off, right? No weekends. Friday meant it's only 2 working days till Monday, Saturday and Sunday are just 2 more days that ended in a Y, So it was like, and at some point, your friends are all out on the boat at Rum Point, and you're like, maybe there's room in life for me, and so it was kind of a signal. There's room in life for me. I'm gonna take a little time off, and I've done all this. I've made a little money along the way. It's not like all the money was in the business. I'd managed to save money through the cash flow of the business, and then I sold the business, and and that allowed me greater freedom. I do miss it, because I miss the routine, and I think some entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur that thinks this way, that I'm a creature of routine. I like my routine, and so I wear the same shirt, and I'll drink the same tea. You know what I mean? I'm not. You're not going to see a milkshake here tomorrow morning in my hand. It's always going to be a cup of green tea, and you're not going to see a polka dot shirt. It's going to be a blue polo or a white polo. Less thinking involved. Steve Jobs used to have one outfit, because less thinking. He liked his routine. I like my routine, and so I miss my routine. But now I'm creating a new routine. So. That's part of the charm of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm glad you've got, you get some time to really enjoy Cayman, and do some traveling and really enjoy, the the fruit of your effort, really. So one of our questions is, did you have any mentor for your business, and how did you find that person or inspiration or anything like that?
Do you know what? So I latch on to people. I love people in general, but I didn't have a mentor. I had a friend who would give me advice from time to time, who got me originally into the domain business, but over time I quickly eclipsed his business, right? In terms of the size, and so. And then I diversified into other businesses, and I didn't have a good mentor, to be honest with you. I would have loved to have found that person, but because I do love people, but I just wasn't so fortunate to find that person that could help me be a spirit guide in my journey. And sometimes you get lucky that way, and sometimes you don't. You have to be your own mentor, and you take a little from everybody. You meet people maybe that aren't like a natural mentor that you go back to, like Yoda, every time you need help. But you meet, I'll meet you, and you'll tell me something, and I'll take something small from what you tell me, and I'll meet somebody else, and I'll take something from them. So rather than having one mentor, for me, I tried to listen to everybody and take away from them and build it into my own path.
Okay, we've got time for one more question.
Sure.
So how do you manage your work-life balance?
I feel really balanced these days. I mean, maybe a little too life balanced and not enough work balanced, just because, I used to work, as I said, like nonstop, 24/7. Now, I work, 24 days a month, 7 hours a day. I mean, it's not, it's a little different now. So I feel like I'm a little too balanced now, and I'd like to get back into the routine of work. The problem is when you're growing like a restaurant, for example, that it moves so slow compared to technology, and you have to deal with, construction labor. It's very frustrating, You have to deal with government regulations. You have to, just to get through planning, you have to deal with. So it's and then you have to execute all the work, which takes time in a supply chain issue. COVID, can't get things. So we're working through it. I mean, we have everything we need to get open, but it's just you have that. There's an old saying, when you dream that you're naked and you can't get home somewhere outside of your home, that you feel like you're running out of time. I have that dream a lot. So it's like I feel like I'd love to get I'd love to get into the next routine and do something really cool. And see where it goes. Maybe I'll have 10 restaurants or 100, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll run this one really, really well, and that'll be it. I'll learn from it, and maybe it'll take me into a new direction. I think the biggest takeaway for any entrepreneur is leave yourself open to the universe of possibilities that come to you every single day. Every single day, things will happen for you in your business. And it happens for each one of us. The slogan of my restaurant, the overarching slogan is "New Day, New Life." Every day is a new day where you can reinvent yourself. Everybody who's watching this, everybody who you and I both, everybody has the ability to reinvent themselves every single day. Most people don't. They get up in the morning, they go back into their routine, but every day is a new day to reinvent and to listen for an opportunity or for a chance to change your life in a positive way. And so, you should live your life by that credo of new day, new life. Let yourself grow, as a person, and embrace the opportunities that come your way. Don't turn your back on the signals from the universe,
Thanks, Frank. We're excited to see what you do next. It's been really great to hear from you and all your inspiration, your journey, and your secrets to success. So thank you again for taking the time to be with us today.
I'm deeply flattered to be here. I'm just like you. I just work hard and had some very good fortune. So thank you for having me.
So now let's move on to the next part of our session. I'm so excited to welcome Keron Rose, our online business coach and Flow Business Ambassador. Flow Business and BTC Business know how much small business owners depend on reliable connection to keep businesses growing. And if you add your own digital presence, you're unstoppable. I'm delighted to introduce to you Keron Rose as he walks you through how you can use digital tools and techniques to impress your customers and elevate their experience, because a happy customer is a loyal customer. So now let me introduce to you Keron Rose.
Introducing Keron Rose, aka the Digipreneur. Keron is a marketing and e-commerce specialist, content creator, and business consultant. He's also a Flow Business Brand Ambassador. Based in Trinidad and Tobago, Keron is known across the region for his commitment to helping Caribbean entrepreneurs build their businesses through his columns, blogs, podcasts, and various other platforms. He's here today to help you find your footing in the digital age so you can pivot to success and grow your business. Let's give a warm welcome to Keron Rose.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. We're gonna be gonna teach you more lessons. Coming to the stage by way of Trinidad and Tobago, he's one of the top thought leaders in the Caribbean region. He works with entrepreneurs in building their digital presence and teaching them how to monetize their platforms. He's the host of the popular Digipreneur FM podcast. And quite frankly, when it comes to navigating the digital age, there is no one better. Please welcome the Digiboss, Mr. Keron Rose.
Good morning, everybody. Innovation 2022. How is everybody doing today? Listen, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to be here. Innovation 2022 brought to you by Flow Business and BTC Business. These are the types of events that are needed. And because I'm so excited, Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat just how excited you guys are. You know, Frank Schilling came and set the tone. And I love the fact that, you know, his last name is Schilling. Frank is about his money. Well, Frank's his money too, Schilling's his money. He's all about his money. So I loved it. I loved it. His presentation was really good. So let me know in the chat if you guys enjoyed Frank's Frank's talk. That was great, right? So for me, my name is Keron Rose, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 ways to help build your digital customer experience. Because right now we know that the first point of contact for your business is typically going to be something digital. A customer, a client, your audience is typically going to interact with your business digitally first before they ever, make their way into your store or before they ever reach out to you. So because we know small businesses, our resources are usually a little bit, not as vast as some of the bigger corporations, I want to make this tangible and practical, give you guys 5 different ways to really enhance your digital customer experience so that your customers enjoy doing business with you and they enjoy connecting with you online, all right? So without further ado, let me get started in my presentation today. Let me just cue everything up. 5 ways to build your digital customer experience or enhance it. And you guys know me. If this is your first time seeing me, I come with all the vibes. I'm all about the vibes. I'm all about having fun. You might get a bomb drop here and there. I love to have fun while we teach, right? Who said learning has to be boring, all right? So I hope you guys and gals have your pen, your paper, your notepads, because we're about to get started, all right? All right, so what are we going to be taking a look at today? Again, I want to give you guys 5 ways to really help, do something practical to build that digital customer experience. We're going to first take a look at your website. Your website is your website is the most important tool in a business's arsenal in the digital age. So we're going to talk about some benefits and some tips for your website. Then we're going to move into Google Business. This is one of the key ways for local search for businesses to find you. It is a gateway, a portal to access to Google Maps and also have that side profile on Google Business. Then I'm going to show you guys a free tool that Google gives you to learn more about your audience, which is Google Trends. Then we're going to jump into WhatsApp Business. It's 2022, and I'm amazed how many businesses still do not leverage the power of WhatsApp Business, or if they have it, they don't actually use it to full capacity. And then we're going to wrap this up with one of my favorite tools. It's a tool that I love it. I use it every day and I like to talk about it, but I hate to talk about it because it's secret sauce. It's the sauce that helps me be so strategic in my business. So I love to teach people about it, but I hate to teach people about it because then they're going to use it. And who knows, my competitors might be watching as well, right? All jokes aside. Now, I want to give you guys just a little bit of information about me so you guys know who I am and what I do and how I work with Caribbean entrepreneurs, okay? So I work with Caribbean entrepreneurs and businesses to build their businesses online and learn how to integrate digital and e-commerce tools and platforms into their business. I've worked with some amazing companies over the years like Flow Business, Sagicor, Digicel, Huawei, Loop Caribbean, Eastern Credit Union, Scotiabank, and WePay. And I'm super passionate about educating the Caribbean community and people of color on learning how to become self-reliant through mastering e-commerce. I'm a smartphone junkie, I'm an animal lover, and my favorite pets to date have been my Rottweiler Bronx, my 2 cats, Archie and Alfie, who you always see on my IG stories, and my bearded dragon. And I know Caribbean people are like, you kept a lizard in your house? Yes. And it was always a pleasure just having it and enjoying my time with them. All right, so website, let's kick it off with some benefits and tips for a great website experience and why you want one to begin with, all right? So the number one reason I want small businesses, especially to have a website, is for e-commerce. That's because customers want to buy without having to always speak to a representative. Did you know that 68% of sales in 2022, according to Statista.com, starts with a Google search? And when you guys Google, what do you see on the search results pages? Links to websites or videos, right? But if you don't have a website, you're not showing up in the number one way that people buy, which is through a Google search, right? Your website also works for you 24/7, 365, and allows customers to shop anytime they want. Now, we know how Caribbean life is. What employee do you know will work for you 24/7, 365? We know employees not doing that. However, your website will. I know you guys like to shop at all different types of times, right? So in the chat, let me know how many of you shop online, right? And if you shop online, what time of the day do you guys shop online? Just let me know in the chat. What time of the day do you guys and gals shop online? I know for me, before I go to bed, I might do some shopping on Amazon, or maybe I can't sleep and I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I do some shopping online. But what's even better than spending money as a business owner is waking up in the middle of the night to go get a glass of water and I get a new email saying new order, or client has booked, or money has hit your account. There is no greater feeling than waking up in the middle of the night making money. All right. Number two. So before we get to number two, I'm seeing the chat. The chat says nighttime. Before I go to bed. Leslie Ann says nighttime. Late at night. I love it. During the day, we know Carrie Ann likes to shop during work hours. Listen, that's always the best part about e-commerce. You could shop anytime you want. And as a small business owner, you want your business to be able to allow people to patronize you at any point in time. All right. Number two, we're talking, different ways to build a great digital customer experience. So for your website, number two, mobile responsive websites are a must. For a great customer experience, your website needs to be mobile responsive. 64% of all Google searches are done via a mobile device. And guess what? 53% of sales are happening via a mobile device, right? So if you have a website and it is only formatted for desktop, that is a no-no. Not only are the search engines like Google and Bing, not only are they downranking you in their metrics, right? You're also not creating a good digital experience for your customers to shop. How many times have we gone onto websites and it's not optimized for mobile and the words are teeny tiny and you got to pinch to zoom, or, the elements aren't working? I got pretty fat fingers. So when your website's not mobile responsive, I'm touching like 6 links at once. That's not a good customer experience, right? So you want to ensure that if you do have a website, it needs to be mobile optimized. It needs to be optimized for tablets and it needs to be optimized for smartphones, all right? Number three, Googleability. Your website needs to be Googleable, all right? So over 9.5 billion searches happen per day. It's the most on any platform today, right? 9.5 billion searches happen on Google every single day, all right? That's number one by far. The second place is Facebook, and they only average about 3 billion searches per day. Over 70% of the Google search results pages, so after you type in your question or query and we get to that results page, over 70% of the results are links to a website. Try it out. You go on Google, you type something in, and what do you see? You see a couple of links to videos, but predominantly it's links to websites, whether that is a product page or a content page or, a brand's website, but it's links to websites that typically fill up the Google search results pages. So if you do not have a website, again, you are not participating in the number one way that customers do research and customers buy in today's market. I don't even want to hear that, hey, well, we sell just on Facebook or just on Instagram. If you don't have a website, you are automatically excluded from the number one way that people buy, and that is through a website and starting that search via Google, right? 88% of people who conduct a search for a local business also visit the store within 1 week. And this is straight from Google, because we know Big Brother Google is tallying up all the searches. They're also tracking where we go and how we move about. So they actually have the data to show us when people conduct a Google search about a business, what's the length of time it takes for them to actually visit that business. And Google says 88% of businesses that do a Google search about a business visit that brand or visit that store within 1 week of that Google search, all right? Last but not least, the fourth reason I'm going to give you as to why you want to have your website and how your website also helps with creating a great digital experience is that your website collects data on your audience, all right? There is no better tool for your business that collects data than your website. It ensure you, the business owner, have tools like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, HubSpot, Hotjar, Microsoft Clarity installed on your website. That way, when it collects all of this data on your audience, you have a greater understanding as to who you are actually serving. Because what happens is, anytime I work with customers, we do some exercises. We like to see who their ideal client is. So I'll have them write out their ideal customer profiles, see who they want to attract, or who they think they are attracting. And then when we actually comb through the data, we realize the people that they are bringing back to their website that are buying are completely different sets of people. All right. So these tools allow you to be super strategic and understand who your audience is and how they are coming to your platforms. Okay. All right. Moving on to Google Business. Let me know in the chat. How many of you have Google Business? Let me know in the chat. Do you have Google Business? Do you not have Google Business? If you've never heard of Google Business, you could type that in the chat as well. So let me know if you have Google Business, no, you don't have Google Business, or if you've even heard about Google Business. Again, this is a two-way street. I like the interaction. We like to keep a pulse check. And your answers to some of these questions, right? When we go through the chat and we look at the questions, it's going to allow us at Flow Business and BTC Business some insights as to what types of workshops to bring to you guys in the future. So make sure you guys are, answering these questions and letting us know. That way we know what type of workshops to bring for you guys. All right. So I'm seeing yeses. Yes, I do. Yes, I have it. I set it up when I mentioned it. Great. Yes, I have Google Business. This is good. All right. This is good. All right. So for those who do not have Google Business or have not set it up, let me break down some reasons as to why you want to add this to your brand and how it's going to aid in your creating that digital customer experience. All right. So number one, Google Business is the number one tool used for local search. All right. Since Google is the preferred search engine globally, it owns 96% of the market space. Showing up on Google search is a non-negotiable now, right? Google Business is the number one tool for local searches since it helps you show up on Google search and on Google Maps. So if you are somebody that does not have a website, right, you still want to be Googleable, then you need to go and set up your Google Business right after this workshop. Actually, the event. Wait till the event is done and go set this up as soon as you possibly can, all right? Number two, contact. Google Business allows you to add your booking links directly to your profile and help you gain more bookings. clients are able to message you directly from Google without having to visit another platform to do so. So if I Google you, I don't have to go to your website to communicate with you. I don't have to go and find you on social media to communicate with you. I could contact you directly from Google Business, and that will show up on our Google Business app on our phones, all right? Your audience has one click to get to call you as well, right? Because your phone number is right there, and one click to get directions to your location. It simplifies how they interact and locate your business. Now, a great customer or a great digital customer experience allows your customers simplicity. And one of the things that we as consumers hate is having to go and hunt for your email address, hunt for your phone number, hunt to go and find where are you located. And if I have to go to your website, then go to your contact page, then go and, copy and paste your phone number into my phone doc, that's too much work, right? So you want to ensure you have your Google Business Profile, get all of your contact information right then and there on Google Business Profile. That way, calling you, getting directions, or emailing you is all one click, all right? Number 3, content on Google Business. Now, this is something that many people don't do. Even the people that have Google Business don't put content on the platform. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys and gals post your content directly into Google Business? I am very interested to know. Let me know in the chat if you directly put content. I'm talking pictures, your videos, your products, your events, your updates. Are you guys leveraging the content section of Google Business? Let us know in the chat. I am super interested to see that, right? If you are directly putting content into Google Business. All right, so we're seeing some coming in. No, yes. All right, let me know. Yes. All right, that's good. All right, so you guys can post your images. You could post 30-second videos. You can post the products that you sell directly onto Google Business, your events. And the beautiful part about it is when you put your content onto Google Business, it is indexed by Google. That way, when people are doing their Google searches or queries, your Google Business content is able to show up in these searches, all right? So you want to ensure that, well, for one tip I'd recommend doing, repurpose your Instagram content. If you're posting pictures and videos on Instagram, repurpose it onto Google Business. Whatever products you have on your website, put into Google Business because it gives you the option to add product links. So after I read the information and see the pictures and videos about the product, I can actually click purchase and it'll bring me to the product page directly onto your website. Again, helping you to increase the traffic to your website so that you can increase the opportunities for conversion and sales. All right. Wonderful. Someone said content in Google Business. What? Listen to me. I know right now Gregory's like, brilliant. We could put content on Google Business. Love it. Last but not least, number 4 is data. Google Business gives you some amazing data to be strategic. You are able to find out how many times people Googled your business, how many times they called you from Google, how many times they tried to locate your business and find you on maps, what days of the week they called you and what times of the day they called you, how many visits you got, how many times they viewed your pictures and videos, and how many times your Google Business Profile was searched for overall. You're going to get all of that in a monthly report. And also, you can log into Google Business and you can see all of that information as well. They typically give it to you in 1 month and per quarter as well. All right. So this is an example of what you would be seeing when you are looking at the data for Google Business, right? So you would get how many times you were found on Google search, 11,000 times. How many times you were found on Google Maps, 4,000 times. Now, when we look at customer interactions, we could see how many times people clicked on your website and visited your website, how many times people requested directions to your website, how many times people called you, how many times people called you from Google Business as well, all right? And check this out. We get to see the days of the week and the times of the day that people have called you, all right? So that way you know, hey, over the last month or over the last quarter, Thursdays or Fridays seem to be our busiest days for phone calls. If you know when people are calling you, historical data, then you know what days to pay attention to. If you get the report saying, hey, during this day, this time, people are visiting you, these are your busy foot traffic hours based on the Google data, because they give you that, that allows you to be more strategic with how you staff your locations and man your phones. Google data, Google business data is giving you all of that information, all right? Next up, we got Google Trends, and I'm kind of packing all this in. I know we're coming in quick because I want to get everything done and take some questions because we got limited time. We still got more to go, right? So we're going to do a live demo of Google Trends. So first things first, you're going to jump on Google, you're going to type in Google Trends. And I want to show you guys two key areas that I love to use Google Trends for, okay? Now, we do have videos located on the Flow Business website where I dive in deeper into into topics like Google Trends and other things to help you build your digital business and build your digital presence, right? But I want to give you guys two ways that I love to use Google Trends. First off, what Google Trends is. Because Google collects so much data on us, on everybody in the world, right? Google Trends is a tool that allows you to get data on trending Google searches. So it gives us insights into what is happening in a specific country around a specific word or a keyword, right? This helps in keyword research and understanding your audience. So what I like to do is I like to make a nice lengthy list of all the products, services, terminologies within my industry, make a long list and then run them through Google Trends so that I can get some type of data on what is happening in that market. So right now, I'm set to Trinidad and Tobago, right? So if we go to the three lines and we click on Explore, then we're going to be brought up to these filters. We're going to see worldwide filter. We're going to see the duration filter. So what we want to do is click on worldwide and we want to change it to the country that we are in, right? So I'm going to put in Trinidad and Tobago for now, and I'm going to leave it at 12 months, right? Now I'm just going to explain briefly what the left column is and what the right column is. Let me go back to worldwide. So search topics, the left-hand side, this first column, what this is Google's data. Google's algorithm is taking a look at all of the queries that people are typing into Google and grouping them up into key topics or parent topics. And Google is saying, over the last 12 months in the world, these are the top topics that people have been Googling, right? Remember, Google's going to take all of those queries people are putting in, grouping it up into categories, and it's showing us these are the top topics people have been Googling. So the number one topic that has been searched for on Google in the last 12 months in the world is tag cloud. Second is 22. That's probably queries where people are typing in the word 2022. Then we have Ukraine. We know what's going on in Ukraine, so we know there's going to be tons of people searching for things Ukraine related. Number 4, UEFA European Championship. And number 5, Russia, right? That makes sense given what we know what's happening in the real world. Now, on the right-hand side, search queries. What Google is doing is Google is taking the actual queries that the humans are typing in and just tallying up the most searched actual queries. So whereas the topics are Google's algorithms grouping things together for an overall parent topic, the right-hand side is what the humans are typing in and Google just tallying it up. So number 1, Wordle. Now, if you do not have Wordle on your phone, are you even human at this point in time? Wordle has taken over the world and has been the most addictive game that, people have been downloading over the last year, right? Second is IPL. Third, iPhone 13. 4, India versus New Zealand. 5, India versus South Africa. Those have been the top 5 queries that the humans have typed into Google. So how we're going to use this is first, we're going to change the country. So I'm going to put in Trinidad and Tobago and then watch the information change. So for topics, 2022, hotel, flight, travel, rent, 4, Blue Movie, Nulla, Wordle, IPL Pakistan. Remember I said to make a long list of the topics, the keywords, the products, the services, terminologies in your industry. Look at your list and then run it through Google Trends. So I'm going to put in business, right? I'm going to put in business and search. Now check this out. We get to see a graph as to the frequency of the searches over time. But now this section, interest by subregion, this is the most important section on Google Trends. It breaks down the cities that people have been conducting that search for that keyword in your country. So if I know that people are searching for the words business in Western Tobago, Port of Spain, 3 Eastern Tobago, 4 San Fernando, 5 Arima, at that point, I can now be more strategic when I'm doing Facebook ads. Rather than target the entire country, I can target specific cities. My copywriting can change for the ads. So rather than say, hey, Trinidad and Tobago, I got a business conference, I could look at the top 5 cities and I could run 4 or 5 different ads saying, hey, Tobago, we have a business conference. Hey, Arima, we have a business conference, and target those specific cities. Right? You can also do this for Google ads as well. Rather than target the entire countries, target specific cities and target them based on the people who are conducting the search for that word. And you can get data on pretty much anything. So let's just say I type in roti, right? I type in roti. I'm not in Jamaica, but I'm going to put in Jamaica. I want to see Wagwan with roti in Jamaica. Look at that. Number 1, Clarendon, roti, St. Andrew, St. James, St. Catherine's. So if I'm somebody that is going to open up a roti shop, because I know Clarendon is looking for roti, I would then look offline and see what types of opportunities are available for me to sell roti in Clarendon, right? The data always tells you something that you really don't know. And I guarantee you, when you start to do your own market research, it's going to shock you that the places you think are looking for certain things are not the ones looking for them, right? And again, it's going to help you with your offline activities, because who knows, maybe I, go to Clarendon for the weekend and I do a little side-by roti shop or whatever, right? Or I can do Google ads or Facebook ads and target these specific areas, all right? After that, if you scroll down, you're going to get, this is a free tool, right? So you can put in as many searches as you want. You're also going to see some of the top topics related to the word, and also what are some of the top queries that people are looking for. So we'll look at that. Roti recipe, how to make roti, right? These are some of the things that Jamaicans are looking for with respects to roti. Last but not least, you guys could use this tool to compare keywords. So let's just say I want to compare Samsung versus Huawei. You can compare up to 4 search terms and you could see what cities are favoring which item. So I could say, hey, show me the cities favoring Huawei, and it's going to show me. I could see what are some of the queries related to both of those products, right? So you guys can compare the search volumes as well with this tool. So let me know in the chat, how you guys liking Google Trends? Do you guys see this as a tool that you guys can use and would love to use and add to your tech stack, your tool stack, if you will? All right. Let me know in the chat if that is a tool that you guys would use. Again, it is free. It is a great tool to add, especially because you don't have to pay for it. And again, if you just need to get a pulse check and see where your people are, who is searching for what country, because I could type in, look at this, right? Let's just say I remove this and let's just put this back to worldwide. Let's just say I want to enter a new market. I could type in roti, right? And put it back to worldwide. And look at this. These are the top countries in the world searching for roti. Indonesia, Malaysia, Trinidad and Tobago, Romania, France. I guarantee you no Trini ever thought that Romania was searching for roti. I know they weren't even thinking about that. Indonesia, Malaysia, if we were to put in jerk chicken, right? Clearly, you guys know I'm hungry because I'm only searching for food. Jerk chicken, look at that. Jamaica, Trinidad, Canada, UK, United States, right? These are the top countries. And then you guys can change the duration from 12 months, go to 90 days, go to 30 days, and all of that data is going to change, right? So try that tool out, knock yourself out, have some fun. Let's get back to the presentation. So after Google Trends, what do we got? We got WhatsApp Business. Now, I know somebody in the chat mentioned earlier, yo, Mr. Rose, what about WhatsApp Business? They're talking about Google Business, but what about WhatsApp Business? Well, guess what? I always come prepared. I come ready to shell down the place, right? So WhatsApp Business. Who in the chat has WhatsApp Business? Please let me know. Do you have WhatsApp Business? Let us know in the chat. Yes, I have it and I have it long time, or no, I don't have it, or what is WhatsApp Business? And at this point in 2022, if you're a business and you've never heard about WhatsApp Business, what's really happening right now? So we're talking about ways to build your digital customer experience, right? WhatsApp Business is a great tool to have and utilize. Now, I know a lot of people have it, but don't always use it to its full potential. So let me enlighten you. All right, you ready? You ready? Let's go. Number one for WhatsApp Business, your profile. You can create your WhatsApp Business profile so customers have the full details about your business, your hours of operations, your logo, your location, what business segment you belong to, your email, and your website information. You want to ensure your WhatsApp Business has all of that information because it simplifies the experience. If I have your number, or maybe you put the QR code on your social media, so I can scan it on WhatsApp, add you guys in, right? I should be able to see all of this information, and I can be able to click and go right to your website, or click and go right to your email, or click and call you, right? We want to get all the information right from your WhatsApp Business profile. Number two, now this is one of my favorite reasons to use WhatsApp Business, and that is the product catalog. Create your product catalog, list all of your products and services. You can add links to your product pages on your website. So if you don't have a website, you don't know how to build a website, Flow Business, where is Connell? Where is Sam? Somebody from Flow Business. Let people know that Flow Business can build your website for you. You're probably thinking, what? Flow Business can build a website for us? Yes. If you don't know how to build it yourself, or you don't want to go and spend the exorbitant amounts of money that some developers charge, Flow Business is building e-commerce ready websites for you, and they're building e-commerce ready websites across the entire Caribbean. Reach out in the chat. Let them know, hey, Flow Business, me want a website, and they'll reach out to you, all right? Cool. So you can add links to your product pages on your website, and this will carry your customers to the product pages on your website. So imagine this. Your person finds you on social media. They add you on WhatsApp. Then they can see your entire catalog on WhatsApp Business. I go through, I see the WhatsApp Business catalog. I say, oh, wow, I want this. I click on the purchase link, and it brings me right to the product page to make the purchase right then and there. Again, simplifying the customer experience, right? And what happens if you don't have a website? WhatsApp enabled this new feature a couple of months ago called WhatsApp Add to Cart, where essentially you add all your products and services into the catalog. A customer could then add the product or service right into the WhatsApp cart, and then they could send you that order via WhatsApp. So you're going to get the entire order on WhatsApp. The person can read it, see it, acknowledge it, and then follow up with you to make the purchase if you do not have an e-commerce ready website. I know somebody in the chat right now is like, WhatsApp Business doing all of that, and I'm here just using it to broadcast message people? Bruh. Next up, we got WhatsApp Stories. Check this out. This is why WhatsApp Stories is so important. WhatsApp Stories is the only stories platform with no algorithm. So once your customers save your number, they will be able to view all of the content you place to stories. If you think about Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Not everybody sees your content because there's an algorithm between you, your content, and your customer. WhatsApp Business, once people are saving your number, all of your stories are going to get pushed out to their mobile devices and they can view it. There's no algorithm. Once they have your number saved, they have the opportunity to open up your stories and read it. You can even add clickable links in your stories on WhatsApp. Remember, Instagram only added the stickers a couple of months ago. WhatsApp Business was there from a long time where you can add clickable links right in the stories, all right? So if you're thinking about, man, this is another platform that I have to create content for, listen, cheat. Take your Instagram stories and repurpose those stories onto WhatsApp Business, because the people who are viewing your stories on WhatsApp Business, Instagram stories, Facebook stories are usually going to be 3 different sets of people. The people who follow me on Facebook are not the same ones that watch my IG stories. The people who watch all of my WhatsApp Business stories are not the people that watch it from Facebook or Instagram. So repurpose that content onto your WhatsApp stories, right? And last but not least, web chat. Once you have your website, cough, cough, make sure you guys get your website done and add web chat. You can add WhatsApp widgets onto your website so people can, rather than leave your website, because we're talking digital customer experience, rather than leave your website to call you, we can message you directly on WhatsApp from your website. So they're on their computer, they're watching you, they're watching your website, they click on the WhatsApp widget, they're WhatsApping you from the computer, and that comes right in to your WhatsApp Business, all right? So when you have your website, enable web chat through WhatsApp. That way people can communicate with you in real time, and you're going to be getting those messages on WhatsApp, and you and your customer, can connect with you right on your website. Whew, that was a whole lot. But guess what? I got one more bomb for you. And like I said, I love HubSpot. So when you come into HubSpot, I'm going to show you guys some key areas that HubSpot allows you to be strategic, right? So I have HubSpot connected to my website and all of my social media platforms, right? Now, what we're looking at is all of the people who have subscribed to my website, right? Once they have subscribed to my website, HubSpot is doing a lot of tracking in the backend. And let me show you some of the data HubSpot collects for you guys, all right? Now, even if you don't have a website, you guys can start utilizing HubSpot to start collecting emails so you can start to build your relationships with your customers. But I want to show you guys some key ways as to why you want your website, why you want HubSpot, why you want to create content and use social media to build your presence. Look at the things that HubSpot can do. So check this out. HubSpot set up on my website. Look at this. First page scene. So this is going to show me what the first page of my website that brought that person to my website, all right? It's also going to show me where that person found me. Anytime I see this, anytime I see Google, that makes my heart sing, because that means somebody was on Google. They typed in, hey, how do I get paid online? Hey, how do I become the next DigiBoss? Whatever their search query is, then I showed up in the Google search results with an article to my website or a video to my website. They clicked on it. They loved the content so much that they then subscribed to my platform. And then it's going to show me, HubSpot says, hey, this person found you via Google. And the first website they came to, or the page that brought them, was your blog. Why everyone needs a JMMD account in Trinidad. Let me see what else. This person came in from Google, and this says how to get paid with PayPal in Trinidad and Tobago. So HubSpot's going to track how everybody finds you and comes to your platform, that subscribes to your platform. All right. And it's going to track them. Take a look at this. It's going to track them from Facebook Messenger. It's going to track them from Google. It tracks them from Bing. Look at that. We got a Bing inside there. Somebody's like, what? People use Bing? Bruh. Who uses Bing in 2022? Right? It's going to show LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media platforms. It'll show everything. It's going to track where everybody is coming from. All right. So that's one of the key ways that I use social media. Also, if you have e-commerce on your website, HubSpot is going to track all of the money that each individual person is spending on your website. It's going to track every dollar that people are spending on your website, right? So if I type in, I'm going to type in a name. I'm just typing in a name. Let me see. What do we got? Right. So I'm going to type in a name, right? And we can see it's going to track all of the money that people spend within your business, right? So I don't want to leave that page up for too long. I just wanted to give you guys a glance. HubSpot is tracking all of that information for you. So once people spend on your website, HubSpot is going to track it, all right? And then you get to see all of the pages that people have viewed on your website. So let me find somebody, all right? Let me just click on this. All right, check this out, right? HubSpot is going to track. It has a timeline. It shows you where people found you, and it shows you all of the pages that they have viewed on your website. That way, you can be more strategic. It then tells you how many times did the person come to your website, how many pages have they viewed, and it tallies that up over time. So when you're reaching out to people or they're reaching out to you, you can check your HubSpot to see if they are there, and you can understand what your audience wants from you, all right? Wonderful. Last but not least, before we get to the Q&A, I want to show one more thing. Check this out. I'm going to go to search. I'm going to type in prospects. Look at this. HubSpot tracks every single company. HubSpot tracks every single company, what government body, what institution visits your website. So we can see, I know we're on Flow Business. I know my Flow team is here, but Flow, guess what? Digicel loves my website too. Digicel has come to my page 24,000 times. Digicel has sent 9,580 people to visit as early as today at 9:41 a.m., right? It tracks every single company around the world that comes to your website. Now, if I know what companies, what governments, what institutions are coming to my platform, I can now be more strategic in my outreach to companies to see who I can work with, what partnerships can happen, right? Because HubSpot is going to track all of this for you, right? Look at that. Antigua Public Utilities Authorities. I might have to go and do a workshop in Antigua. What say you guys? What say you? All right. So that's just a taste of HubSpot. All right. If you guys want, you guys can also, this is the free HubSpot. Oh, yeah. This is the free version of HubSpot I'm showing you. You guys will also be able to send out email marketing ads or email the newsletters through HubSpot. So you guys can, again, register with HubSpot. Create a form in HubSpot, put it out on your social media platforms, and start to build your email list if you do not have a website. That way you guys can send out emails to your peoples as well. All right? Wonderful. So as I wrap up my workshop for today, this is the action steps I want to leave you guys with. Number one, create a list of your products, services, keywords in your industry, your competitor's name, and run that through Google Trends. Number two, set up your HubSpot account, create a form to collect emails, and do the course on email marketing on HubSpot Academy. It is free, all right? Three, set up your Google business, enter in your Google business information, and begin entering your products into the catalog, all right? Last but not least, if you guys have questions, you guys can feel free to reach out to me at info@Keron Rose on email or KeronRose.com, the website. And you can follow me on any social media platform at Keron Rose. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform works for you. Just type in Keron Rose and you guys can find me. Woo!
We're moving right along to our next session. I said earlier that we love following small businesses across their journey to success, right across the Caribbean, from Cayman to Curacao and every single island in between. So I'm so excited to welcome our next guest, not one, but two of Cayman's homegrown entrepreneurs and small business owners. So let me take this time now to introduce to you our power couple, Shyam and Tamara Ebanks.
Husband and wife business partner duo Shyam and Tamara Ebanks have been entrepreneurs for over 20 years. Together, they are the sole proprietors and operators of NCI Freight and Logistics, the go-to domestic logistics supply chain coordinator for the Cayman Islands, and shared proprietors and operators of Let's Eat, the biggest e-commerce food delivery service in Grand Cayman. They join us today to help you pivot to success and grow your business in the digital age. Let's give a warm welcome to Shyam and Tamara Ebanks.
Morning, you guys. Thanks for
Hi,
being
thank
here.
you.
Morning.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having
us.
us.
We're delighted to be here.
So we're going to jump right into it, okay?
Okay.
So just start by telling us a little bit about yourselves, about your businesses, what you do.
Okay. So again, my name is Tamara Ebanks. I'm a mother of 4, married to my husband and business partner. We've been in business for 20 years. This year, actually, 2022, we're celebrating 20 years of doing business together. And I currently operate as the co-founder and managing partner for NCI Freight and Logistics, and I do more of a consulting on the operations side for Let's Eat. And in my role, I'm primarily responsible for system development, making sure operations run smoothly, product development, and do play a part too in brand development as well. So that's in a nutshell what I do every day.
Very interesting. Keeps you busy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Shyam?
And my name is Shyam. I'm from the Cayman Islands. I'm the managing director of Let's Eat and NCI's Freight and Logistics. Um, we've started this business from a very long time ago, from in 2001.
Too.
It was an experiment that grew into a monster, and here we are today.
So how did you first get the idea of NCI?
Well, NCI as you know it now wasn't what we intended it to be back then. Actually, it was just something for us to do as 2 kids in college. Cheyenne was working actually in this building that we're in right now. And he was working with the newspapers, and he thought that it would be a good idea. We were in college, we weren't working, to just take newspapers and delivering them to homes across Grand Cayman and businesses. And so it was just something to do, and it grew from that into becoming the freight and logistics business it is today. And we just kept growing over time, organically aligning different service lines with delivery. That's we started out as domestic service provider for packages and periodicals, and then we grew into freight and logistics.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And were there any fears, when we think about going up against FedEx, DHL, companies like that?
Well, when we started, it was an experiment. We never thought that we were going to be our names were going to be aligned with FedEx and DHL. We started just delivering newspapers to people's homes and offices, and then it just evolved into us providing other services and getting there.
And as it is now, as we have blossomed into becoming a freight and logistics company, it's not necessarily fairing industry partners, because more than you may know, people or companies in logistics work a lot together. We have to depend on each other. So we own have our niche markets, and we overlap in so many ways that you probably think of. So it's not necessarily a fear of competition, but how we work together to make logistics happen. Logistics is a global industry, and it's one player doesn't make it happen. It's many players. And so we work with all and strengthen our network. That's how it's done.
Such a great attitude.
Yeah.
And you said you started by delivering newspapers throughout Cayman, very local. Did you grow NCI, to what it is today based on listening to your customers and their needs, or was it just something that you guys felt you needed as individuals? How did that growth kind of take place?
It came from predominantly from our customers. Once we started the newspaper delivery, we were delivering to homes, and then we were delivering to offices in the morning. And from there, we had offices requesting us to move this parcel from this office to that location. And hence, we started the local courier service, and then, we had customers asking us if we can bring this in for them, bring that in for them. Started doing air freight, then we started doing ocean. We had companies who've approached us and said, hey, can you distribute these items to all doors throughout the Cayman Islands? Hence, you like the Yellow Pages, the Buzz, the EK, What You Want newspaper. Those are products that we've distributed all over the island. So it was the request from our clients.
And as we became more conditioned as leaders or entrepreneurs, we started this. I was 17 when we started. Well, no, 18 when I started this. So, I mean, we weren't business savvy. No one before us taught us what to do. And as we became conditioned over the years, then we made proper plans on streamlining products and service line and becoming better and really making this into a real business. So we listened to our customers, but we also sat down and took on the knowledge that we've earned over the few years and say, okay, this is what, like when e-commerce started, I remember 12 years ago, or no, it was probably like 15 years ago. It was so new to the island. And we're like, let's try this. We weren't sure what we were getting ourselves into, but we started when everyone started to shop online, we're like, and then I remember like 15 years ago when we started writing business plans, like, let's make this happen. We can go this far. And now we haven't seen all of the plans come to fruition yet, but I can say a good deal of it, or a big part of it, has. And we continue to evolve those plans as we grow, because what we know now, some of it we didn't know then, and we continuously change it to become better at what we're doing, and also find ways of becoming bigger as well. Yeah.
Excellent. So let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about Let's Eat. How did that business get started? Obviously, it's quite popular now. So how did that evolve?
Let's Eat is an extension to what we're doing domestically with the logistics. We've always talked about it. What additional service lines can we add to the company as we grow? And this conversation led to us starting to put a framework together. And, there have been a few restaurants who did approach us in the early stages, asking if we can deliver food under NCI, but it just wasn't the right fit. So we started to put a plan together, and funny enough is we had the strength of the domestic logistics, and the only issue or challenge that we had at the time was the e-commerce side of it. It was new, and we have no expertise in that, and we needed to find the right fit. So fortunately enough, we were able to get a partner involved who has that background. So we were able to marry the logistics, domestic logistics, and the experience of the e-commerce.
And domestic logistics, it's not just about moving packages. Our logistics network locally is very sophisticated. I can proudly boast that we have one of the best on island, seriously. And I think, so knowing what it can do, we wanted that to be introduced to food. But it wasn't just about the logistics part of it. It was now the e-commerce front that was foreign, and to some extent still foreign to Grand Cayman, right, or Cayman Islands, and finding ways of building out a strong e-commerce front for food that can be coupled with the logistics and technology that we have to make it into a beautiful food delivery app that we now have. So we had it in plan for maybe like 3 years before it was actually launched, but we were able to launch it just at the right time during the pandemic, and it worked perfectly.
And we were very grateful.
We launched it right as the shutdown took place.
Yeah.
And we had like throwing stuff on social media. It's coming. This is coming. There was a great crescendo that we built. And I must say, on day one, when we opened
Doors.
for business, and the orders,
It
they
just
just start
kept
coming in,
coming, yeah.
ping, ping. That's the sound that it would make
Yeah. We went to bed with that sound in our ears.
for days.
Yeah. and I mean for such what we were planning wasn't on the scale that it actually turned out to be. And so it brought on this fear, but it was still a bit excited at the same time. And technology is so beautiful, honestly, and what it did, it was so beautiful. We were able to reach so many people with just them being on their phones. I mean, it's what we've been talking about all day, and seeing what e-commerce and e-commerce logistics does. It's beautiful.
And with the let's see, with that coming out at that time, that was a proud moment for Tamara and I, because the tourism sector flatlined, and there was a lot of people out of work. We were fortunate enough to be requested by Chamber of Commerce to meet with them to discuss possible solutions that would involve
To scale,
NCI,
right?
because our business was very scalable. And that's when we put Let's Eat on the table, that we have that project. But it was 95% ready. It wasn't ready to launch, but with a few chats, they encouraged us to get it out. And we did that. And fortunately enough, we were able to hire
A lot of people who were in the tourism sector that lost
that had no
jobs were employed with us for a good time in the beginning.
Yeah. And in addition to that, we were able to keep so many restaurants open. So it was a real big thing for us.
We thank you.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
doing that, and I'm sure everybody who's benefited from it, from a job to keeping us fed during the pandemic, and just keeping us all connected at such a time when we
needed it the most.
Needed it the most, right?
We connected through food, really, and logistics, right?
Yeah, we really did. And you guys have obviously embraced the digital, platforms and digital era and world that we live in. And obviously you had to fast track a little bit and kind of maybe go off your plan and speed it up. But, it's worked out to your advantage. So what advice would you have for somebody who's looking to go digital, who hasn't quite gotten there yet or scared to take those steps?
Well, my strongest advice is that you have to. It's a must. If you don't go digital, you're not going to survive in this new era.
Yeah, I mean, even if it is the way to go. I mean, how people are communicating, how people are consuming, it's digital. And how we operate as businesses, to the efficiency of it now depends on innovation. You're not able to scale and be as big as you want to be if you're not going digital. So it's a must. Looking at many of your inefficiencies or growth limitations can be resolved by going digital, right? And how you get to your market and get into a bigger audience is dependent on digital. Digitize it. It is. Yeah. It is, and we now have to change how we've been doing business. This is the new age. I remember a few years ago we were talking about the new age. I mean, yeah, it's something that people were always talking about, but I think more now than ever, you're feeling the new age.
When you started traditional, you started news, but print, right?
Exactly.
And now you've had to transition.
Right. It is the new age of doing everything. So now you have to, look at your business as it is and how can I make this better, and having innovation among other values as a part of your big change of going forward.
And it's so fast changing, right? Like every day it's something new. And so how do you keep up with those trends, those business practices? How do you stay fresh on all of that to keep growing your business?
I would say I don't recommend leaning too much on trends. Take what you need to work for your business, and be open-minded, but you have to be focused, because trends are always there and it will just pull you in all directions. So you have to be able to know what you need to work and take current and futuristic approach to it, but not so much Trending, yes, but not too much because you can get lost in that.
Yeah, just maintain your
Yeah.
plan, you
Yeah.
know, and as Tamara said, just take what you want, because you know
What you
today
need, yeah.
you have this trend, tomorrow you have that trend. The trend for today works, the trend for tomorrow can put you a few steps back. So just focus on your business and the needs, you know, for efficiency, you know.
Yeah, and growth, right?
Yeah. So talk to us about the values that your
Right.
companies are built on, right?
It's about delivering quality service. It's about our people, how good they are at what they do, and to constantly invest in having them become better, and also improvement in ourselves as leaders, how well we're better able to lead the business for its success and lead our people to get us to that next level. It's about open and clear communication with our team, with our customers, with our partners. It's about innovation.
And you know, culture is very important
It
for
is,
us
yeah.
in our workforce. We have combined with the two companies, we have almost 80 staff.
It's a lot.
So there's a lot of personalities to deal with. And you know, what set the tone is the culture that we try to maintain within the companies.
Right.
So do you think that your culture and your values that you base your companies on, is that what kind of sets you apart from your competitors?
There are different things. That plus, our brand presence. We have a strong brand presence, I believe, here in Grand Cayman, or global reach as well. I mean, there's so much more than what you see happen here on the ground to make things happen for people here. It just doesn't happen locally.
Our network, our relationships.
Right.
And that's so common, right?
Right.
In all of our markets, like
Right.
they're small communities,
Yeah.
and it's who you know and those relationships
Yeah.
that you
And
build
it's
to
your-
help you grow.
Right, and it's your expertise too, because some people are in the same industry but are not as good. Not to say that, it depends on how conditioned you are, and scalability, different things, right?
And talk to us about some other tools that you use to help market your brands, to help keep both your businesses in the different
Right.
sectors at the forefront of people's minds.
Well, we have to depend heavily now on digital marketing. That's how you get to people quickly nowadays, and more versatile than how it was before. Now you can talk with your customers, just like we're doing now on video, and people react to a lot of that, instead of just putting, oh, I'm selling this for one. I don't want it to just be about the product. I want it to be about who you're dealing with as a people, as a company, and just creating that strong brand presence, and not just so much about selling them something. I want it to be more of a cultural or relationship with our experience with
and
the
it's
company.
also about us
Yeah.
trying to provide that customer the best customer experience. In business, things happen. I mean, as you plan, things change. But at the end of the day, you want to try to right whatever wrongs, and try to get that customer back on you.
So what's a typical workday look like for you guys?
It's kind of different, even though we work together every day.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it is very
Difficult,
different.
right?
Cheyenne has his own style, and I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I wake up in the morning. My phone wakes up with me. Emails, messages, calls. Before I get out of the door, I feel like I've already done half day's work.
Yeah.
And then I get into the office, and then we have to have meetings. I have to do my rounds with my respective duties. By the time I finish that, I do get a small minute for myself, and that's to go to the gym in the afternoon.
Very important.
To de-stress
before
I go home to take on the 4 kids.
Yeah.
And after I
so
de-stress, I have to look at my phone and my
Again.
computer again for a
Try
little
to-
while,
right.
and then I try to get some rest.
No wife time, I tell you.
Yeah, a little.
Even though you work and live together, there's no time together.
I know, but my day, I kind of like start around 6 as well, mostly just going through emails, and we have a lot of partners that are different time zones, so we want to get to them first thing in the morning. And I typically have my first meeting for the day at home, and just to build my morning up, because traffic is just crazy. You can just get lost and stressed in that. So I take my first meeting digitally at home using digital. Before we couldn't do that. We would always be rushing to get there at 8.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
But it's
so
like we never did that. But like it's always been part of our life.
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
So I take my first meeting at home every morning, and then make my way into the office. So by the time I'm there, I'm already way into my day, and I just hammer it out, reconnect with my team, and just focus on my priorities of priorities, because everything seems to be a priority, and just, and at the end of the day, to work out and heading home to the kids. Being a mom of 4 and working it's no joke. It's not easy to find a balance. Sometimes you find a little balance, but most times it's not, where you have to work more than how you live, but when you can, you really have to push for that, because that's important too, right? So
Yeah. And it sounds like, you're finding your balance for fitness, your mental health, the kids. Do you integrate the kids into the business?
Yes, our
teaching them?
son works for us sometimes,
good.
and we have to pay him. So
Yeah, he's serious about his money.
Yeah.
That is payday.
So,
What's going on?
And so and we have him starting from the bottom. Like, we have him starting from the bottom
Such a good lesson.
for him to understand the growth, and condition him too, that you don't just sit in this chair, because even though we are the head of the organization, we've sat in every chair there.
You didn't start there though.
No.
You started yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've had to do every
Everything.
single thing,
Yeah.
and our children have to understand that.
And I think that's
so
important.
it is.
Touching
It is.
every sector
Yeah.
and understanding each moving part of your business
Right.
allows you to be the best.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
something that I would also encourage, upcoming entrepreneurs to do if you're getting involved into a business. I highly wouldn't recommend for you to just get a business and throw people in there and expect it to work.
Yeah.
You need to sit in every chair. That way, one of the hardest things in business, I believe, is managing people. And the mouth is made to talk. They will tell you anything that they think you want to hear. But if you have the experience in that chair, you have a stronger control.
Best strategize to make it work best for that person who now sits there, and for the future of the company and the teamwork itself.
I applaud you guys for being so hands-on.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got some people in the room here in Cayman. So if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand and we can come to you. Otherwise,
we had one question from Mike from DMS, so I'm going to ask it for him. He's a little bit camera shy. So
you're a radio guy. That's why.
It was a very good, it was a very good question. Mike asked, we're taking it back to NCI. There is a lot of supply issues now in the market and around the world, and price hike and inflation. How is NCI pivoting to manage that?
To some extent, we're not able to control inflation. It is what it is, and our business have to adapt to that. But what we're doing internally to help with that is how efficient our business is ran, so we don't have to pass on 100% of that, so to speak. So we're able to absorb some of it, right? But we still have to pass on some. So efficiency is a huge part of what helps us to control the mushrooming of costs in our industry, and
And the other thing that I would touch to that we've started to do, that I have seen a lot of benefits that we're able to pass on to our customers, is having more control. We have been making a lot of moves outside of Cayman, and that has put us in a position to be able to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
I'll say that
like
much. I won't go much.
like some third party players don't necessarily align with, even though you're in the industry, you have to take more control of your route, so to speak, and how it feeds your branches, and you cannot control their costs. So you have to figure out ways of stepping in and controlling that to better align with your roots, right? So that too is very important. But I mean, it's a supply and demand issue right now for in freight and logistics. E-commerce is just taken off, and their capacity is an issue too with the airlines and with the freight lines, and so that just drives up costs. People pay more just to move things because of capacity, and of course, like the war in Ukraine and the fuel issue. Well, everyone knows the fuel issue we're having right now. So we just have to find ways to efficiently balance that within our organization. Some of it we're not able to escape, and we just have to ride the storm out. Right.
So you guys have done so much already.
Yeah.
Really love hearing your story. But what's next? Can you tell us?
It's a secret.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, there's quite a few things in the works right now. Big things, and we are very excited, and we definitely will be letting you know in due time.
Innovation is a big part of that too. I mean, I can't talk enough about how innovation is a huge part of how we move forward, how we scale our business, and how we remove any ceiling that exists. So innovation is the way to go, and anyone in freight and logistics will tell you that. Right.
Yeah. Well, keep dreaming big, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing. And keep us posted.
Oh, sure
I heard
will.
Cheyenne might enter the pitch competition.
God.
Thinking
get
about
your
it.
pitches in. Thank you guys again.
Thank you so much for having
and
us.
We'll keep up with all you have going on.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
It's been such a pleasure hosting this first segment of innovation with you all, but now I'm going to pass you over to Jeff Tibbetts and Christina Spratt, our small business sales manager for Cayman and our regional sales manager for the North Caribbean. Over to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we just want to say a very heartfelt, warm thank you for Frank Schilling for sharing his story, his journey. For Shyam, Tamara, thank you so much. I mean, it was. I'm in the back and I'm listening. I'm absorbing all of this information. I'm like, wow, just right the way through. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you to Keron Rose for innovating and showing us the digital tools that many people don't know about and don't utilize, and we want to help and elevate our clients start using them. Use those tools that are out there. Make your businesses mighty ones. Very thank you to Tech Beach for sponsorship, as well as all of our guests in studio, as well as online and clients. Thank you so much.
We expect to have you tuned in next Friday, June 24th, with our sister company BTC in Bahamas, BTC Business in the Bahamas, and looking forward to seeing you there too.